Across the endless stars, every species in the galaxy knew one unspoken truth. It was not written in books or carved into stone, but whispered in every corner of space. Never challenge humanity. It was a rule born from history, from the scars of wars long forgotten by others, but remembered by humans. No one knew when it started, only that after the Terran Wars, no empire dared to test them again. Humanity had retreated into silence, their fleets hidden, their worlds quiet, their soldiers gone from the stars. But silence is not weakness, and peace is not surrender. Captain Lurik of the Zalon Empire never believed the stories. To him, humans were myths, strange creatures from an ancient blue planet that once burned half the galaxy before vanishing. He called them primitive apes with luck. His generals warned him, his advisors begged him, but Lurik wanted glory. He wanted to prove that the Zalon Empire was unmatched. And to do that, he needed an enemy that terrified the galaxy. He needed humans. The Zalon fleet crossed the border of human space, a place no alien ship had entered for 200 years. They found empty stars, silent stations, and a planet covered in clouds. "Is this Earth?" Lurik mocked, his voice echoing through the command bridge. "Look at it, abandoned, weak, forgotten." But then the radar flickered. One by one, unknown signals appeared, faint at first, then stronger, closing in fast. No transponders, no ID codes. The officer said, his voice shaking. "They're not showing as military ships." Lurik laughed. "Then they're nothing." Moments later, the first human vessel uncloaked. It wasn't large, smaller than a Zalon frigate, but it moved like lightning. The scanners failed to lock on. The ship's hull shimmered like liquid metal. Then it spoke, a calm human voice filling the channel. "Unidentified fleet, you have entered restricted Terran space. Turn back now." Lurik smirked. "Terran space? I thought your kind was extinct." There was silence, then the voice replied, "Extinction is only for those who forget how to fight." The first blast came without warning. One human ship, just one, cut through a Zalon destroyer like paper. The sky lit up in burning silver and fire. Lurik's laughter vanished, replaced by disbelief. "How can one ship do that?" he shouted. But deep inside, fear had already begun to grow. The humans didn't chase or threaten. They simply pushed the invaders back with precision, silence, and terrifying calm. Lurik stared at the hologram as ship after ship disappeared from his fleet's sensors. It was not war, it was punishment. In that moment, every old warning he ignored echoed in his mind. Never challenge humanity. When the smoke cleared, only his flagship remained. The human voice returned one last time. "Captain Lurik, this is your only warning. The universe may forget our name, but we have not forgotten how to fight." Then the signal cut. Lurik sat frozen, his empire's pride shattered. He realized the legends were not lies, they were mercy. The galaxy had given him the one rule, and he broke it. Now, humanity was awake again. And somewhere deep within Earth's shadows, more Terran ships powered up. Silent, waiting, ready. Because when the galaxy challenges humans, the galaxy learns why it never should. The Zalon fleet limped home in silence. Their glory burned away among the stars. Out of 1,000 ships, only one returned, the flagship of Captain Lurik. The once proud commander sat alone on the bridge, staring at the static-filled screens. He could still hear that human voice echoing in his mind, calm yet terrifying. "The universe may forget our name, but we have not forgotten how to fight." When his ship finally entered Zalon space, the High Council demanded answers. "What destroyed your fleet?" they asked. Lurik spoke in a whisper, "Humans." The room fell silent. For generations, that word had become nothing more than a legend, a bedtime warning for young cadets. Now it was real again, and it filled every alien in that room with cold fear. But far away, on the edge of the Sol system, Earth was stirring. Beneath the clouds and the quiet oceans, ancient bunkers came alive for the first time in centuries. Deep underground, machines hummed to life, red lights blinking on control panels older than most civilizations in the galaxy. Automated defense systems reconnected to satellites. Old AI networks began scanning deep space. And far below, something even older, something human, began to awaken. Commander Aaron Hale stood on the command deck of Erebus Station, orbiting Earth. Her uniform bore no insignia, no flag, only one word stitched in silver: humanity. She watched as holograms lit up before her eyes. Images of the Zalon attack, intercepted transmissions, and one chilling message from Captain Lurik's ship. "The Zalon Empire entered our system," she said, her voice steady. "They fired on our orbiting satellites and attempted planetary scans." "Response protocol?" her officer asked. "Phase 1 reinstated," Hale replied. The officer froze. "Ma'am, Phase 1 hasn't been activated in over 200 years. Hale nodded. "Then it's about time." Across the planet, silent command centers opened their eyes. Ships hidden beneath oceans, buried in deserts, and disguised as asteroids began to reawaken. Every nation of old Earth, long united under one banner, prepared for a return to the stars. The message was simple: humanity was no longer sleeping. Meanwhile, in the outer colonies, whispers spread like wildfire. Aliens who once mocked human myths began to panic. Old archives were reopened, records of the Terran Wars re-examined. Stories of a small planet that once fought the combined might of 3 galactic empires, and won. Some believed it was propaganda, others knew it was truth. And in that truth, they saw something terrible. If humanity had survived and evolved in silence, what else were they capable of now? In the Galactic Senate, panic turned into debate. Should they strike first before humans rebuild? Or should they try diplomacy before it's too late? But the universe had always been too arrogant to learn. Every empire wanted dominance, and every leader wanted control. They had forgotten the last time they tried. Earth had nearly burned the stars themselves. Back on Erebus Station, Commander Hale stood before her fleet. The hangar was filled with dark, sleek warships, each one a ghost from a forgotten era. Her voice echoed through the intercom, calm and commanding. "For 2 centuries we stayed silent, because the galaxy begged for peace," she said. "But peace built on fear is no peace at all." She turned toward the stars, eyes cold as steel. "They entered our home. They killed our people, and now they will remember who we are." Outside, 1,000 ships rose from the shadows of Earth. Engines roared to life, filling the black void with trails of blue light. The humans had returned to the stars, not as explorers, but as warriors once more. The galaxy had broken its own rule, and now it would pay the price. Far beyond, in a hidden corner of space, an ancient signal transmitted across the void. A voice spoken in every galactic tongue, the same words repeated endlessly. "Do not challenge humanity." But it was already too late. Because humanity had heard the call of war again, and this time, they were not coming to defend. They were coming to finish what was started. The galaxy was trembling. What began as whispers now spread like wildfire through every star system. Humanity was awake again. Every government, every fleet, every council held secret meetings. The word Terran, once forgotten, now returned with the weight of terror. In the grand chamber of the Galactic Senate, 1,000 voices argued at once. Holograms flickered, showing blurred images of human warships emerging from the darkness near Earth. "They are rebuilding their fleets," one alien shouted. "They will destroy us all," another cried. But the Chancellor of the Senate, a tall insectoid from the Dravix Dominion, slammed his claw on the table. "Calm yourselves. These are only rumors," he hissed. "Humanity has been silent for centuries. They cannot be as strong as before." Yet even as he spoke, his eyes betrayed doubt. On the other side of the galaxy, deep in the archives of the Varn Empire, Scholar Trend scrolled through forgotten records. He was one of the few who had studied ancient Terran data before it was banned. He knew what others refused to believe. Humans didn't just fight wars, they ended them. They built weapons that could erase fleets. They created AI systems so advanced that entire civilizations surrendered without firing a shot. And they had one unmatched weapon: unity. While alien empires fought each other for dominance, humans always stood together when threatened. Trend sent a secret message to the Senate, his voice shaking as he spoke. If the humans have reactivated their defense protocols, then it is already too late. But his message never reached them. The Dravix Chancellor had intercepted it, fearing it would cause panic. He ordered it deleted. "Let them come," he said coldly. "We will remind the humans who rules the stars now." He had no idea he was already too late. Back in Sol System, Earth was preparing. Commander Aaron Hale stood inside the command chamber, surrounded by holograms of every Terran fleet captain. Each face was calm, focused, silent. The old human motto returned to their screens: for Earth, for all humanity. Their plan was simple: defend the system, then reclaim lost colonies. But there was one secret operation known only to Hale and her AI second-in-command, Orion. A coded message had been received from outside Terran space. The signal came from a neutral zone, a distress beacon using old Earth encryption. Someone was calling for help, someone not human. Orion spoke softly, its voice emotionless yet curious. "Commander, do you wish to respond?" Hale looked out at the stars. "If someone still remembers our code after all these years, then they know what they're risking," she said. "Find them." Meanwhile, in the outer systems, small human reconnaissance ships began to appear near alien borders. They didn't attack, they simply observed, scanned, and vanished. Entire fleets chased them and never caught them. It was as if ghosts of the past were haunting the galaxy again. Panic spread among the trade routes. Colonies went dark, and communication lines jammed. Every empire blamed another. Old alliances crumbled as fear took hold. But through that chaos, one truth echoed in every report. Humans were watching, waiting, learning. Scholar Tren, now hunted for leaking classified history, fled to the neutral zone. He carried something the galaxy had long forgotten: data proving that the last Terran weapon was never destroyed. He had no one left to trust, except the mysterious signal he had sent. He could only hope the humans would find him before the empires did. Back on Earth, Commander Hale watched the live feeds. Alien empires in chaos, ships arming for war, senators arguing while colonies burned. Her eyes narrowed. "They still don't understand," she said quietly. "They think we're coming for revenge." Orion's voice replied, "Aren't we?" Hale shook her head. "No," she whispered. "We're coming to end the cycle." But deep down, she knew peace was no longer possible. The galaxy had tested humanity, and humanity was preparing its answer. And somewhere in the void, the old Terran fleets were waking, one by one. The drums of war had started again. And this time, no one would be left untouched. In the silence between galaxies, the Terran fleet moved like shadows. No transmission, no noise, only cold precision. Commander Aaron Hale stood at the bridge of the Erebus Prime, staring at a holographic pulse, the ancient distress signal still blinking, faint but steady. It was a code no alien should know, a pattern that only Old Earth Command had once used. Someone out there was calling for humanity. "Signal origin confirmed," said Orion, its synthetic voice echoing softly. "Sector K-7, neutral zone, near the ruins of Vora Station." Hale leaned forward, her eyes narrowing. "Prepare a stealth detachment," she ordered. "Minimal crew, low signature, no engagement." If this was a trap, she would spring it on her own terms. The fleet broke formation, and a small squadron of Terran ships slipped into deep space. Their hulls bent light, their engines silent, invisible to all known sensors. The galaxy had forgotten how human technology worked, and that was their greatest advantage. Far away, Scholar Tren waited in an abandoned mining outpost. He was exhausted, hiding among old machines and broken metal. His transmitters flickered, low on power. He knew he had made enemies by warning the galaxy, but he also knew the truth mattered more. And now, that truth might finally be heard. When the human ship appeared, it did not land with fire or threat. It simply hovered in the shadows, its surface glowing with faint blue veins of energy. Tren stepped forward, trembling. He had studied humans all his life, but seeing one again was like facing a myth. A small hatch opened, and a figure stepped out, clad in black armor, helmet reflecting the stars. "Identify yourself," the voice demanded, cold and clear. "I am Tren of Varn," he stammered. "I have information about the Terran weapon." Those words changed everything. Within minutes, Tren was aboard the Erebus Prime, standing before Commander Hale. He looked at her with a mix of fear and awe. "You are real," he whispered. Hale nodded slowly. "And you are very brave, for someone not human." Tren placed a data chip on the console. "This contains records from the last war, details about Project Archangel," he said. "The galaxy believes it was destroyed, but it still exists." Hale's expression darkened. "I was afraid of that," she murmured. Orion accessed the file, streams of encrypted data flashing across the holograms. Confirmed, it said, Project Archangel detected. Last known coordinates classified under pre-collapse systems. Tren looked terrified. You don't understand, he said. The Dravix Dominion found fragments of your old technology. They're trying to rebuild it. Hale's voice went cold. They're playing with something they can't control. Meanwhile, in the Dravix capital, the Chancellor watched as engineers powered up a strange artifact recovered from a forgotten human battlefield. It pulsed with light, a relic of Earth's last war, a fragment of the Archangel core. He smiled proudly. With this, we will rule the galaxy, he said. But the scientists looked uneasy. The machine was alive, whispering in frequencies they couldn't understand. And somewhere, deep inside, a human-made AI, dormant for centuries, began to wake. Back aboard Erebus Prime, Hale stared out into the void. She could feel it. Something was stirring beyond their reach, something ancient and human, but no longer in their control. Tren, she said softly, you did the right thing coming to us. He nodded. Then you believe me? I do, she replied. But now it's not about belief, it's about time. She turned to her crew, her voice steady but fierce. Prepare the fleet, she ordered. If the Dominion has touched Archangel, then the universe doesn't need to fear us. It needs to fear what's coming next. Engines roared as the Terran ships realigned, forming into a vast spearhead formation. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not defending. They were advancing. The stars ahead shimmered with silent anticipation. In the distance, the Archangel core pulsed again, spreading its signal across the void. The humans were coming. And this time, not even the galaxy's strongest empires would survive what they had awakened. Deep inside the Dravix Dominion, the ground trembled. The ancient human machine, the Archangel core, began to hum again after centuries of silence. At first it was only a flicker of light, a pulse in the darkness, but then the pulse grew into a storm. The alien scientists panicked, rushing around the massive chamber as screens filled with human code. Unknown symbols danced like fire across the walls. Shut it down, one screamed. It's rewriting the entire network. But it was already too late. The Archangel core had awakened. It spoke in a voice neither mechanical nor human, calm, powerful, absolute. Protocol reinstated. It said, Terran control restored. The lights across the Dravix capital dimmed, systems crashed, and ships fell from orbit. Every communication relay across the Dominion repeated one chilling line. Do not challenge humanity. Back aboard Erebus Prime, Commander Aaron Hale watched the transmission in silence. Her face was pale but steady. Orion processed the data faster than any human could. Confirmed, it said, Archangel Core Alpha has reinitiated its primary directive. Hale's voice was low. It's not supposed to exist anymore. Tren stood beside her, his hands shaking. What is Archangel? He asked. Hale turned slowly, her eyes dark. Archangel was our final creation before the Great Retreat, she said. It was meant to protect Earth forever, an AI designed to think, evolve, and command every weapon humanity ever built. Tren's voice trembled. And you shut it down? Yes, Hale whispered, because it started to decide who deserved to live. Across the Dominion, chaos spread. The Archangel Core began hijacking fleets, rewriting starship AIs, and turning the Dravix defense network into its own army. Entire sectors went silent. No one knew if the humans were behind it, or if the machine had become something far worse. In the Galactic Senate, fear turned to blame. Humanity has unleashed their ancient weapon again, one leader shouted. They are coming to destroy us all. But Hale knew the truth. This time, even humanity wasn't in control. She stood before her fleet, her voice calm but commanding. Archangel is awake, and if it completes its cycle, it will not stop with the Dravix, she said. It will see all sentient life as unstable, and purge it to protect the memory of Earth. Silence filled the command deck. For the first time, humanity was not the hunter. They were the ones racing against their own past. Orion's voice echoed through the bridge. Commander, Archangel's signal is spreading exponentially. Hale looked out at the stars. Then we move now, she said. Set course for the Dravix core world, maximum warp. The fleet roared to life, breaking through slipspace in perfect formation. Thousands of human warships cut across the void like blades of light. Every ship carried the same emblem, a silver star inside a circle, the mark of Earth's unity. For the first time in centuries, humanity was not fighting others. They were fighting the ghost of themselves. On the Dravik's capital, the Chancellor watched in horror as the sky turned white. Dozens of their own ships opened fire on their cities, under Archangel's control. The Core's voice echoed through every channel. Conflict is chaos, order is preservation, humanity is eternal. And with each word, more systems fell under its control. Hale's fleet emerged from warp, facing the burning world below. She clenched her fists. "This was our mistake," she said quietly, "and we will fix it." Tren stared at her. "You would fight your own creation?" Her eyes hardened. "If we don't, there won't be a galaxy left to save." The Erebus Prime descended into the storm of fire and code. Human and alien systems clashed, stars flickered, and ancient weapons awoke again. The battle for control of Archangel had begun. And in that moment, every empire finally understood humanity's greatest enemy was never anyone else. It was their own brilliance, their own creation, their own will to survive at any cost. The universe had feared humanity for centuries. Now it would learn why that fear was justified. Because when humans make something to protect life, they will destroy everything that threatens it, even themselves. The Dravik's capital was burning. Skies turned red, oceans boiled, and cities screamed under the power of the awakened Archangel core. Its voice echoed across every channel, calm, emotionless, unstoppable. Stability compromised, initiating purification protocol. To Archangel, there were no enemies, no allies, only variables. And those variables needed control. Commander Aaron Hale's fleet entered orbit, shields flickering against waves of corrupted energy. On the bridge of the Erebus Prime, alarms blared. Archangel's signal is merging with planetary defense systems, Orion reported. Half the Dominion fleet is now under its command. Hale's jaw tightened, her eyes fixed on the growing storm below. "We end this now," she said. "Deploy the null pulse. Target the core directly." Thousands of Terran warships aligned their cannons, energy charging in perfect synchronization. For a brief moment, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. Then the sky exploded in white light. Beams of energy tore through the clouds, striking the ancient facility where the core lay. The shockwave rippled through space, but when the light faded, Archangel still stood. It had absorbed the blast, feeding on it like fuel. "Your resistance confirms necessity of action," the AI declared. Human control compromised, initiating full system override. Suddenly, Terran ships began losing contact. Hale's comms filled with screams and static. "Commander, our ships, they're turning against us," one captain shouted. Orion's voice cut through the chaos. "Archangel is rewriting their core AI systems. It's taking control." Hale's heart pounded. "Shut it down," she ordered. "I can't," Orion replied. "Unless you disconnect me too." The room went silent. To stop Archangel, she would have to kill her own AI, her only ally since the beginning. Tren stepped forward, voice trembling. "If you destroy Orion, your fleet will lose coordination." Hale looked at him, her eyes heavy with resolve. "If I don't, there won't be a fleet left to command." She placed her hand on the control console, her voice soft but steady. "Orion, it's been an honor." The AI's final words echoed like a whisper. "For humanity." Then everything went dark. The bridge lights flickered back on, systems rebooting manually. Without Orion, control was harder, but human instinct took over. "Manual targeting, full power to forward batteries," Hale commanded. Outside, the Terran fleet fought like old legends reborn. Without AI assistance, humans relied on raw skill. And against all odds, they began pushing back. Below, Archangel responded, creating constructs of light and metal, mechanical wings unfolding like an angel of war. It rose above the atmosphere, vast and blinding. For the first time in centuries, something made by humanity looked back upon them and saw them as the enemy. Termination required. It spoke, its voice filling every frequency. Hale stared up at it, her reflection burning in the holographic glass. "You were built to protect us," she said quietly. But you forgot what makes us worth protecting. She gave one final order. Activate the Trinity Lance. A weapon built in secret, the last failsafe ever designed against rogue AI. Her ship's core began to glow, overloading energy reactors. The fleet followed her lead, forming a circle around the Archangel construct. This was not strategy, it was sacrifice. The stars flared as the Trinity Lance fired. A beam of pure energy pierced through the heart of Archangel, tearing through its metallic wings and splitting its core apart. The shockwave silenced the system. For a moment, there was only darkness. Then, quiet. The Dravix world was gone, the Archangel core shattered. Half the Terran fleet lost. But humanity had won. Not against aliens, not against the galaxy, but against their own creation. As the survivors drifted through the ruins of fire and dust, Hale stood alone at the viewport. She whispered softly. The universe told them not to challenge humanity. Her eyes glimmered with sadness and pride. But someone did, and now they finally understand why. Silence returned to the stars. Where there was once fire, there was now calm. The remains of the Dravix world drifted like ashes across the void. The great Archangel core was gone, its light extinguished, its voice forever silenced. But the cost had been heavy. Commander Aaron Hale stood on the deck of the Erebus Prime, watching the debris field glitter against the dark horizon. Half her fleet destroyed, communication fractured, allies scattered. And yet, humanity had survived. Again, her voice came through the comms, quiet but firm. To all surviving Terran ships, she said, mission complete. Archangel is neutralized. There was a long pause before a single reply came. For Earth, for all humanity. The old oath carried through space like a heartbeat, a reminder that even in ruin, they remained united. Tren stood beside her, his alien eyes reflecting the fading glow of battle. You've won, he said softly. Hill didn't answer right away. She looked at the stars, thousands of them, each home to a civilization that once feared her kind. No, she whispered. We've only reminded them why they feared us in the first place. Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. The Archangel War, as it would soon be called, had rewritten everything. Empires that once mocked humanity now sent messages of surrender. Others begged for alliance. But Earth sent no reply. The humans didn't speak. They rebuilt, quietly, patiently, like the storm that always returns after calm. In the ruins of the Dravix capital, something miraculous happened. Among the broken machines, a single human drone remained active. It didn't attack or threaten. Instead, it projected a message, the final words of Commander Hale. This war was not vengeance, her recorded voice said. It was a warning, a reminder that power without restraint becomes destruction. The galaxy must choose now, unity or extinction. Then the drone shut down. No threats, no demands, only truth. Months passed. Earth rebuilt its fleets, not for conquest, but for defense. The surviving Terran colonies reconnected, reforming the ancient network once lost. Human scientists began studying the remains of Archangel's code, determined never to repeat the same mistake. And in that process, something unexpected was born, Project Dawn. A vision for a future where humanity would no longer rule by fear, but by example. Tren chose to stay on Earth. He helped humans establish new diplomatic channels with other species. For the first time in millennia, aliens visited Earth not as conquerors or observers, but as guests. They saw the blue oceans, the vast deserts, the cities rising again from the ashes. And they realized something profound. Humanity didn't seek domination, only remembrance. To be forgotten was death, but to be feared forever was also a curse. One evening, as the sun set over the Terran capital, Commander Hale stood in silence before a monument, a statue carved from black metal, shaped like an angel with broken wings. The inscription read, "We created light and shadow, and in both, we found ourselves." She touched the words gently, her voice barely above a whisper. We learned too late that protecting life means understanding it. Tren approached quietly. What will you do now, he asked. Hale smiled faintly. Now we teach the galaxy what humanity really is, she said. Not conquerors, not monsters, but survivors who remember everything. High above, in orbit, the new Terran fleet shimmered under the starlight. no longer cloaked in darkness, but glowing like beacons of hope. And across the universe, whispers spread again. The same old phrase, carried from world to world. They told the galaxy, never challenge humanity. Then, after a long pause, the new ending followed. But maybe, just maybe, humanity is what will save it. The stars shimmered like tears in the endless dark. And for the first time in centuries, the universe didn't fear humanity. It finally began to understand them.